Welcome to the 2018-19 Spring Portfolio Lead Update. My name is Keely Potter, and we're anxious to share some information with you that you will find very helpful as a district lead. For this particular short webinar, we will cover several topics. We're going to first walk through what the outcomes of the webinar are. We're also going to discuss the district portfolio lead responsibilities and support. We will talk briefly about rosters and reports, share some reminders, and also discuss next steps. So by the end of this presentation, portfolio leads will have a deeper understanding of portfolio lead responsibilities, the timeline of recommended actions, and next steps. And you will notice that this presentation will walk through some of those lead responsibilities around not only teacher submission of portfolios that is due on May 1st, but also talk briefly about peer reviewer responsibilities and also share some upcoming information that will be shared at a later date. So let's just stop and talk briefly first about those lead responsibilities and support. So as a district portfolio lead, this year you have worked extensively, we know, and we are very grateful for all of your support, to support educators in certain areas as they work towards submission of the portfolio. Throughout this year, you have verified educator information via the roster checks with the department, and we appreciate the hard work that you have put in to that. You have also worked on approving accounts in Portfolium, and many of you have become very familiar, most of you have become very familiar with the rosters as they are in Portfolio and your queues. We are very grateful and appreciate the hard work that you as a district lead have put forth to recruit peer reviewers. We know that that can be a big lift, and that your ways of motivation and encouraging teachers to take on this responsibility, which is also a great learning opportunity, is very appreciated. We're going to talk about, as we approach the last week before portfolio submissions, ways that you can monitor what is occurring with the submissions in your district, and also we'll talk briefly about the peer reviewer process that will occur once scoring begins. And again, after today, we will follow up with more communication around the peer reviewer progress that will occur after May 1. And also, we are very hopeful that after this short presentation that you will share information with educators that can also benefit them prior to the May 1st submission, and then also as we approach peer review. So as we approach this last leg of April and we move towards May 1, some reminders. We know that many of you have already done many of these things. We know in districts, we've heard great things about districts that have support meetings for teachers during the day or after school. We are staying on top of portfolio questions so that we can also provide support when teachers reach out. But just to be mindful that reminding teachers that all of the portfolio resources are located on the teen-tn.org website, and maybe just sending out a reminder to teachers if they have questions about guidelines or rubrics. They can certainly find everything there. Also, being supportive around the submission of the artifacts is very helpful as well. Technical support from Portfolio is available through the chat feature, and so reminding teachers that they can reach out directly to Portfolio around technology issues. Also, any type of district technology support over the last few days here, you might yourself receive more emails from teachers, or more teachers or principals may reach out about questions, and just encouraging them to use the chat feature to also reach out to Portfolio questions if the chat feature, if the representative in Portfolio is unable to assist, and it's more of a department assist, they'll certainly reach out. And also, involving instructional coaching. Those coaches in the district have been something that's shared with us by several districts, and they said it has been very helpful. So, as we approach the last week, as we work towards May 1, keeping in mind that all of these supports is helpful would definitely be something to keep in mind. Also, encouraging teachers to utilize the context narrative forms is also important. Keep in mind that they are optional, and the context narrative form inside of Portfolio is basically just a blank space where teachers can cut and paste whatever type of organization of that context that they would like to have in there. But it's definitely going to be viewed by peer reviewers before peer reviewers score the work. We received a lot of questions recently about what to include on the context narrative form. Inside of Portfolio, teachers actually see suggestions as they are working around the few pages that are inside the platform. The suggestions for ELA are grounded in, include the title of the book, the task. They also see a recommendation that if there is a video, that they could actually write the minute stop time or the minute and seconds of where the actual evidence is located. That's just to help make the process of peer reviewers that are viewing videos more efficient. That is certainly not a requirement. We have received a lot of questions over the past week around names on context forms or student work. Teachers and leaders have been concerned about that. Our response has been that in the resource guide, we included information around adding names really as a direct result of some districts reaching out to say that they preferred that teachers did not. But because of that, we've also had to address and acknowledge for those districts that do not have those guidelines. And so there are no penalties in the Portfolio system. Peer reviewers are guided to score the work. The peer reviewer training, if you have not already viewed it, we will talk about that in just a moment. It does share briefly about how peer reviewers are going to be really just grounded in the work, and if there are scores that are shared by the teacher on the context form or anything related to the scores, very specifically that peer reviewers are advised to remain objective would mean that they would not pay note to those scores that are listed, and instead they will be scoring the work. So what it is, it's a place where teachers can share the task and also any other contextual information that they feel is valuable and relevant to the student work. Also, just as we approach the last days, monitoring the timely and complete Portfolio submission for all teachers by reminding teachers and all district leaders of the May 1 deadline. And we're going to talk briefly during this presentation about the teacher progress report that I believe several of you have already discovered within Portfolio, and we will share how that can be helpful for you as you move towards the May 1 date. So as we continue on, we also want to keep in mind that as the Portfolio district lead, there are resources that you can continue to use for your own review as you're guiding teachers. And of course, these are also the types of resources that would be helpful for teachers as well. But there is a team Portfolio guidebook for administrators and teachers that's found on the team website, and it shares critical information around submission and other administrative related components that you'll find helpful. We also encourage Portfolio leads to view the general peer reviewer training module, which is also located on the Portfolio's resources page at team-tn.org on the team website. We encourage you to explore the Team Portfolio online platform as well, and really are excited about, again, your accessibility of the teacher progress report and the Team Portfolio platform that you can use to monitor and track the Portfolio submissions as we approach that May 1 deadline. And encouraging your teachers to do the same, to encourage them to visit these resources, especially as we near the last days of submission, is an important piece. Through this process, building up to submission, and then beginning the 1st of May on peer reviewer certification, and then moving our way towards peer review, there will be an increase in communication that's shared with portfolio leads throughout the process. So checking email for updates is definitely something to do to stay informed, and again, subscribing to the team updates. Any critical information that will be shared statewide will be shared through the team update around portfolio. Again, team-tm.org, our team website, continuously will have updated resources as well. And accessing those team portfolio platform, accessing the platform to receive the reports and to also access the tutorials will be very helpful through the process. So as we think about where we're going after May 1, supporting peer reviewers will become a critical piece. And we're going to share just a few things to keep in mind as we approach that time. Distributing all peer reviewer information and resources to peer reviewers will be very helpful. We have a timeline set in place for May in which we will be sending peer reviewers information around the exact locations, reminders about the exact locations for the in-person peer reviewer convenings, and other very important information such as bringing laptops to the in-person convening, as well as earbuds. And then if they have concerns or problems and need assistance with any of that, they can reach out to portfolio questions. And so each time that we send communication to peer reviewers, we will copy you as a district lead. So if you can, any help that you can provide in following up with teachers to ensure that they receive the email would be helpful. We know that school will be coming to a close towards late middle to end of May. So we are being mindful of that as we send emails out to peer reviewers, but it's possible that at the end of the year, they're very busy closing out classrooms and other closing activities. Again, so any support you can provide in sharing that information with peer reviewers is very, very appreciated. Also, just ensuring the timely completion of the virtual training and the certification is definitely a helpful thing that portfolio leads can do. So the virtual training that peer reviewers must view through the portfolio platform is open until May 1, and then at that time, the platform switches over to be a portal for the certification. So again, peer reviewers can access the certification through Portfolio once they have observed the virtual training. The system is set up that as peer reviewers log in to complete the certification, the system knows whether or not they have completed the virtual training or not. And it will not allow them to go to the certification until they have. So if you have a peer reviewer that has viewed the virtual training, perhaps it was in a group setting and they did not, log in themselves to view it, you can certainly reach out to portfolio questions for assistance, ask the peer reviewer to do as well, and we can address those on a one-on-one basis and make sure that peer reviewers have access if they're ready for access to certification. Also, we appreciate the hard work and the support of the in-person scoring convening that you've already provided to your peer reviewers. I know that many of you have been communicating with Kristen Reed or Jamie Grimsley around peer reviewer candidates and checking in on the status of how many you need and if you've met the goal and things like that. And then we're very grateful for all of your support on that. Any type of communication that you can provide to peer reviewers about the in-person scoring convening will be helpful to them. That may include providing them, follow-up information about, how they will be paid. We will discuss in just a few moments what it will look like through ePlan as far as the stipends for peer reviewers. So again, we will always communicate with you and copy you on the emails that we send out to teachers and appreciate the follow-up that you can provide. So again, monitoring, supporting peer reviewers, and completing the training, certification, and then the scoring will be critical. The reports that we'll share with you today are around submission and preparing for that May 1 deadline. We will be following up, again, as I've shared before, to provide more information about how to access the peer reviewer scoring reports, which will be available as we approach the first opening of actual scoring, which occurs on May 18th. So, you know, being on the lookout for that information would be very helpful, and know that it's coming. So again, as a reminder, the peer reviewer requirements that are in place to serve as a peer reviewer for the 2018-19 school year, peer reviewers must complete the following. They are to view all three components of the peer reviewer training through Portfolio and Platform by May 1. And just on a side note, again, to remember that this is also available through the team website under Portfolio Resources, under Training Resources, so that it's open and available to all teachers to view, as well as leaders, and we encourage that. But peer reviewers must view it through the platform. So again, if they viewed it elsewhere and might not have logged in to view it on the platform and are preparing for certification and may not be able to access certification, it could be that they haven't been logged in or completed the viewing through Portfolio. So the certification exam occurs between May 1 and May 15th. Again, we encourage and the idea that for the training, the 3 modules that are being viewed, peer reviewers may often do that together, but for certification purposes, it's important that they complete that independently. And the certification pass-fail data will be communicated to districts when that begins. So after a few days have passed in certification, we'll be reaching out to let you know the status of your district's peer reviewers. And there is going to be a remediation plan in place for those teachers who may not pass the certification. And so we will be reaching back out as a follow-up to share with you what that will look like, and it will be very important to to be aware of that remediation plan. So we will be reaching out. And also, if for some reason the remediation plan is not successful, then as a district, the district must also submit a new peer reviewer to replace the non-certified reviewer. So we're certainly going to do everything we can to provide remediation and support for those peer reviewers who might need additional support to retake the certification exam. And again, attending the in-person peer reviewer convening is a mandatory part of the peer reviewer requirements. So now we're going to talk briefly about rosters and reports. And again, this is brief. We encourage you, we're going to show you just a sampling of what is available in Portfolio, and we encourage you to explore and see all that's inside of Portfolio. And if you have questions around certain rosters, roster questions or reports, certainly reach out to Portfolio Questions. And or your team coach who can also provide support to you in that area. So most of you at this point are very familiar with the roster management as you've been in communication about your rosters. So just as some reminders, you can see the login to your account information here on your screen. And you have an approval queue, which is in the left-hand column on the district administrator's page. And within that queue, you will see a list of educators that have requested a student growth portfolio account. And as a district lead, you can use the actions button and approve or deny the request. And as most of you know, when you approve your request, the teacher will receive an email with a link prompting them to activate their account. So if there's some reason that there's a teacher in your district that does not have an account, I know that we are receiving, a few emails about that right now in Portfolio Questions. Please just reach out immediately to Portfolio Questions, and we're prioritizing responding to those, and we'll make sure that we can assist in any way that we can. As you know, part of this lengthy roster process has been because of the priority that's being placed on educators having the correct teacher license number and the correct school identified when registering for an account. This will make the transition between Portfolio data and our other reporting systems will make it much more successful to share that information. And so T and Compass will have, accurate information. And currently, district leads cannot delete accounts, as many of you know, and we've received emails about that as well. I know that Kristen and the team have been working diligently to complete the rosters, the cleanup, and we'll be reaching out again towards the end of this week, which is approaching the end of April. And at that time, I know that some of you have noticed that you have accounts that need to be deleted, and they have not been. They're still lingering there. So if you've reached out to share that they must be deleted, there is record of that. But as the rosters are cleaned up, it may not be reflecting everything that you have shared at this point. But we are moving towards the place where it will. So we appreciate your patience on that. And again, Kristen will be reaching out around rosters again very soon. So again, I was just alluding to that a little bit. The roster verification, there's one more round that's happening. So certain columns are locked to map data back to the platform, and so that's why the deletion of rows or changing information in the locked columns is not available. The portfolio requirements column is used to designate which teachers should be completing a portfolio. And if the educator is not required to submit a portfolio for evaluation, select a region from the drop-down menu, such as PYE, et cetera. And teachers who do not complete a portfolio as required will receive an incomplete. So now we're going to talk about reporting, and I'm actually going to step out of the PowerPoint for a moment and show you two reports that you will find very beneficial at this time. The first that I'm going to show you, which I've already downloaded, so it's not live, but I'll also go into Portfolium to show you where I was able to retrieve it. But it's called a progress report, and in essence, it just allows you as a district lead to determine the status of teacher submissions of their collections. We're also going to briefly talk about the context form report, which allows district leads to monitor the accuracy of the type of text used in the informational and narrative for ELA tasks, the quality of the tasks, the progress of submissions, and so we'll look briefly at that together right now. So I'm going to step out for a moment and pull up the first report, which is the progress report. So as you can see on your screen here, the actual report has these following headings. You can see the first name and last name. Of course, we do not have any actual information here, very similar to what might be on a roster. What's important to note is that in the portfolio model column, you will either see kindergarten or pre-K or fine arts or PE if you're opting into those models, or first or second, or world language. You'll also see the collection type. So in early grades, you would see literature or informational, and then you would see the math types as well. And then you see the sample points, and what that allows you to do is to actually see the submission status. So when one is present, then they have successfully uploaded the point A's and point B's for a certain collection. If you see a 0, then the work of submission has not started. And if you see an actual percent, that means it's in progress. And so this can provide a snapshot of the status of teachers as they are submitting their portfolios, and can perhaps allow over these last week of submission to target emails to certain principals or teachers to provide support, reach out to ask if how it's going, as they're submitting, and if any support or assistance is needed. So in addition to this report, there's also the context narrative report. And what it does is it shows you what teachers are actually writing on their context form. And through that, you can see some are just perhaps listing a task, Others may be putting the actual title. You can also see references to video artifacts. And peer reviewers will be viewing this. We have noticed from the reports that there are many teachers who are not utilizing the context forms as well, and they appear blank. So if you see a blank space here, then that would mean that the teacher has not written anything on the context form. It may or may not mean that they've submitted something. So again, the previous report that I just showed, the progress report, can provide the status on that. As we go back briefly to this progress report, we've also received questions around the Portfolio platform itself and the actual report itself and the consistency between the two. So everything is considered in progress until it is universally submitted. At the end of the day, it is designated on May 1. And so until then, teachers can change, revise, and until that moment when there is not a final button, it will be just automatically submitted. And so, you know, assuring teachers that, you know, again, going through the process of encouraging them to ask a colleague to sit down with them at their computer and actually look at the work as they're going through it themselves, double check one more time to make sure that everything is submitted, that the videos are in, that the evidence is in, you know, and just being mindful of what they might have written on their context form. So we encourage you to go into the platform to access these reports. Last year, reports were sent out from our previous vendor. This year, the reports have been built in so that you as a district lead can access reports as often as you would like to do so. And in Portfolio, the actual platform itself, you can find these in the reporting section for district administrators. And if you scroll down the screen, you'll see, you know, it'll say context form report, it'll say progress report for the submission report, and you also see your roster report. When peer reviewer progress reports are added, this will be the same location that you will be able to find those reports as well. If you have any questions about any of these or need help or assistance, please reach out to Portfolio Questions, and we'll monitor that daily, especially for the urgent emails around you getting to the system and not being able to do so. So please reach out, you know, and let us know how we can support in that way. So as we go back into, we will review. We have talked about how we're supporting Portfolio teachers and how we can also stay informed, and being mindful that we're also going to be receiving more information about peer reviewers and peer reviewer reports, and that we've worked hard on our roster verification. We'll continue to receive information around that, and that there are reports available inside of Portfolio. So some reminders as we close this short presentation today. Again, an LOE will not calculate for exemptions. And so an exemption is a partial year exemption, a PYE, and these are the only exemptions available. Incomplete occur if a teacher fails to submit a portfolio, if any of the 4 collections are not completed and submitted by the deadline, if an educator does not qualify for PYE, perhaps returning to work early or leaving work later than planned and does not submit a portfolio. So again, if you have questions around any of the policies and need further clarification, you know, please reach out and we will assist in any way that we can. All right, so we're going to talk just a little bit more about other clarified policies. So there are certain circumstances in which educators are not required to complete a portfolio. These scenarios are tested teachers. So any teacher who serves as a teacher of record for a tested grader subject and who also teaches a portfolio grader subject is not required to submit a portfolio and would receive a TLOS score as a 35% measure for his or her LOE. The teacher must be endorsed in the tested grade or subject area to receive the TLOS score as 35%, If they are not endorsed in a tested area, they would be required to complete a portfolio. So licensed substitutes or interim teachers, any licensed substitute or interim teacher that is not the teacher of record, or if they are teaching at multiple schools, would not be required to complete the portfolio. And special education teachers in pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade are not required to complete the portfolio. And again, keeping in mind, first grade and second grade are opt-in models. So that would be in a situation in which the district opts in for first and second grade. Let's talk briefly about the request for extension. So it is required that all portfolio collections are submitted by May 1st. Extensions may only be granted in the case of a natural disaster or other such circumstance. Extension requests must be submitted by district leads via form stack on behalf of the educator, and they will be reviewed on a rolling basis through May 1. So if approved, the educator is granted 5 additional business days to complete the portfolio, and district leads or districts will receive an email notifying them of approval status. So any portfolios submitted after May 1st, 2019 that have not received an approved extension request will receive an incomplete. Approved extension requests, again, will be granted for 5 additional business days to finalize the submission. And again, any portfolio not completed in that time will receive an incomplete. So here are a few reminders about Team Portfolio Platform. Again, the recommended browser for the platform is Chrome or Firefox. And I just said again, and I actually haven't said it yet in the webinar, but I will say that we have received emails about this and have had lots of conversations around the best browsers, the only browsers to use. Again, many times if an educator reaches out and is experiencing difficulty, it's usually the browser, and it could be that using Internet Explorer is causing it. So again, communicating with your educators that Chrome or Firefox should be the browser they use when accepting the platform is important. Again, Internet Explorer is not a supported browser. Also, for videos, please be sure that the teachers are using the most updated version of the media software, such as QuickTime or Windows Media Player. It's important to have that updated version. The platform supports multiple file formats for audio-visual files. So again, making sure that it's updated is most important. For technical support for the platform, there is, again, a chat feature located at the bottom right-hand corner of the platform screen. And the vendor support is located on the West Coast. So it's important to be mindful of the time of day that teachers might be sending or requesting live chat. But if they are not present, they do follow up quickly as soon as they are back on their business hours. We find that the response may be a little slower early in the morning, but you know, generally speaking, the response is fairly speedy. Also be mindful that Wi-Fi speeds could impact upload time, so encouraging teachers to not wait until the last minute, if at all possible, to give themselves plenty of time to allow their Wi-Fi to do its work. And again, portfolios are due May 1 at 11:59 p.m. local time. So if you have questions about what that really means, feel free to reach out to Portfolio Questions. But again, it's the same time as that local time at 11:59. All teachers will show in progress until the due date. Again, so as they are finishing out their portfolios and become concerned that it still shows in progress, it's because all portfolios will be submitted at the designated time. So some reminders about contacting technical support. Again, educators experiencing platform issues should reach out to the portfolio via the chat feature in the bottom right corner of the screen so they can check the individual account. We've had some instances where district leads have been extremely supportive and helpful, but have been the ones that have reached out about the issue And we had to reach back out and ask the district lead to pull the teacher in because Portfolium will actually address it through their individual account. And so it's really important that they're involved in that. And when you are contacting Portfolium, just please be prepared to share the browser to encourage the teachers to remember the browser they were using and to ask them to have that information available. Again, they might be asked this question: did the problem occur right away or after some time in the platform? So for the teacher to be mindful about the time of the day and if it happened on the first submission or the sixth submission, those type things. And just any other relevant information or details around any conditions that were present when problems arose. That's all very helpful as Portfolium supports teachers who are reaching out for help. Again, the browser is always a great first question. What browser are you using? Was it a different browser than before? And if there was an error code or any messaging when the issue occurred. I know that one strategy could be to screenshot, to take a picture, but to be really mindful of what the error code actually said. The support hours for Portfolium, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern. So sharing that information with teachers would also be valuable, especially as we progress towards that May 1st deadline. And if they need support after hours, you can see the email support@portfolium.com provided here, and then they will follow up as soon as they are back on their business hours on the following day. So we're going to talk briefly about the in-person convenings. I know that you've received this information. Thank you for the ongoing support and feedback. As we move into the final week before submission deadline and as we transition to the peer reviewer scoring process. Again, this year's in-person peer reviewer scoring, the purpose of that is for a unified message. We will recap briefly the virtual training on the morning of each in-person convening and then move directly into scoring and provide support and assistance as teachers begin to score portfolios. And that will be a very critical part, of the process. They will be receiving the same guidance and support as, no matter the district across the state, they will receive the same. It also allows for questions to be answered in real time and helps identify common opportunities for improved communications and support for 2019-20. So, everything that we hear from educators is always a form of feedback as well. And given that this is the first time that we have done an in-person scoring event, we will be collecting feedback from you as the district lead, your educators in your district to help inform the 2019-20 peer reviewer scoring process. So again, here is the location for the pre-K and kindergarten, in-person convening, and the dates. As you can see, June 3rd and 4th are designated for pre-KK, with June 3rd being pre-K. The makeup dates, June 7th and 8th, educators have been very responsive to form stack and identifying which data will be present. If the peer reviewers in your district have not done that yet, please encourage them to do so as soon as possible, so that plans and arrangements are made for that day, and so that we can provide as much support and facilitation as possible according to the numbers that are present at each opportunity. As you see on the screen, May 18th is the first and second grade, as well as the fine arts and PE, and also in Wilson County at the Wilson County Schools Administrative and Training Complex. You can see the address there. There are also makeup dates that you can see on your screen. The first and second, can attend one of those pre-KK dates as makeup. And fine arts and PE will be May 29th at the same location. And again, the time is 8:30 to 4:30 and Central Time. And again, we will be reaching out to peer reviewers about preparing for that day, hard copy documents they may want to bring or not bring. Also encouraging them, to have their earbuds when they're listening to videos or watching videos, and we'll be sure to be really clear and explicit in the emails that we send out to peer reviewers on what that might be. Shelby County is actually having their peer reviewer in-person convening on May 18th as well. And that location is to be determined. So if you're in Shelby County, I know we've been having lots of conversations and communication, so we'll just continue to follow up with you and communicate around the location that's determined for that day. So when we think about peer reviewer stipends, there's certainly things we want to keep in mind, and also, sharing this information with peer reviewers will be very helpful. They've also received the same information, but any support that you can provide as a district lead is certainly appreciated. So again, we have broken down, I know you've received communication around that, some of the different stipend amounts. So certified peer reviewers may earn up to $750 for scoring portfolios. To receive the first 300, peer reviewers must attend the required in-person convening and score a minimum number of collections. So for fine arts PE, pre-K, first and second grade, peer reviewers must score at least 5 collections during the one-day convening. And again, we're only, we're going to spend as short of a time as needed, but as long as the time is needed in the morning to review and answer questions from teachers as they approach the scoring on that day. But we're going to be very mindful that we have to dive into the scoring so that they can receive that in-person live support as they begin. So for kindergarten, because it's a 2-day convening, peer reviewers must score at least 10 collections during the two-day convening. And so to receive the remaining $450, peer reviewers must score at least 40 collections total, which amounts to 10 portfolios. Any collections not scored at the convening will be scored on the peer reviewer's own time. It's a good time to share with you that we will have a live support put in place that we will share with peer reviewers on that day, to where every day during the virtual scoring window, we will have a live opportunity for educators to hop on to a virtual meeting and ask questions and receive information. And we will be very responsive to that. If that time has to be increased, we will increase it, but we are going to be available. There will be a team of us available to respond to peer reviewer questions as they are scoring virtually. And again, those of us who are responsive to those questions, it will be the one voice that will be the same support provided to all who call in, so that there's consistency there. Any collections not scored at the convening, again, will be scored on the peer reviewers on time, so that virtual support that will be available will probably be very helpful for some. Scoring of the first 40 collections must be completed no later than June 21st to allow for any needed additional reviews or export reviews. And so as you're supporting teachers and helping them think through their strategy on days and times that the virtual scoring after the in-person convening might work best for them, encouraging them to keep that end date in mind, and then looking at the calendar and thinking about when they're most available, when they might be on vacation, up until that June 21st date. It's definitely always helpful to have a thinking partner, so really sitting down and working with your peer reviewers to find the best strategy for them. I'm sure they would be very grateful for that and appreciate that support. So the travel stipends are also available. So peer reviewers who are traveling more than 50 miles one way to attend the in-person convening will receive a flat travel stipend based on their core region's distance from Middle Tennessee. And so for folks who are under 50 miles, just reach out and let the department know that as well. So we do realize that we may have some one-on-one communication with those who are less than 50 miles. So reaching out to portfolio questions will be the next step for that. The travel stipend is meant to offset the cost of food, lodging, and gas, and any other such costs. Educators are responsible for booking their own accommodations. If you, again, would like support or assistance or ideas on that, please reach out to Portfolio Questions. The state is working with different hotels to secure blocks of rooms for educators to book. But it's important to remember that asking the hotels if they will honor the state rate is definitely important. And so to remind educators of that as well. And, you know, we're also thinking that as much as teachers can carpool with their colleagues to maximize their travel stipend earnings is also wise, and many educators like the idea of traveling together as well. So we encourage you to share ideas or ways that your teachers are approaching it. If you think it would be helpful for us to share that information with other districts, we would love to hear different strategies or approaches that your district is taking. So if you see on the screen, this is the travel stipend. Again, if you are less than 50 miles, please reach out to Portfolio Questions and we can have a conversation around that. And so we appreciate you doing that. And just to talk briefly about scoring additional collections. So if the need arises, peer reviewers are eligible to earn up to $250 of additional funds for scoring additional collections above the 40 collections initially assigned. Reviewers will receive $25 per collection for scoring up to an additional 10 collections, all keeping in mind that we want all additional collections, we hope, to be scored by June 21st. Now we will talk briefly about the expert review expectations and stipend. Expert reviewers will complete the online peer reviewer training, pass the certification exam in their relevant content area, attend the virtual convening on June 10th, and score independently after the virtual convening. Also, expert reviewers are eligible for a stipend of $250 for attending the virtual convening and scoring collections. We will continue to provide more information as time progresses around expert review. As we enter into peer review and the consensus cycle, we are unsure at this time how many expert reviewers will be needed, so there will be ongoing communication about this as well. So we have received a lot of questions about how quickly the stipends will be released into ePlan and what that looks like as far as the delivery of funds. So all stipends will be delivered to the district in 2 installments. One will occur after the in-person convening, and one will occur after all the requirements are met by the peer reviewer. So the district will then disperse the funds to the peer reviewers. So in a nutshell, that means that after the in-person convening, there will be a check-in, of course, at the convening, and the roster of those who attended, and then just confirming that a minimum of 5 collections were scored during that time, which is the expectation for everyone except kindergarten, which is a 2-day convening. Those funds will be dispersed very quickly after that. And then once the conclusion of the virtual scoring occurs, then the second installment will be sent. Reviewer stipends and travel stipends are subject to the 18% withholding for taxes and benefits, depending on district operations and policy. So therefore, it is a district decision to either take the withholding amounts out of the stipends or for the district to cover the cost. And if you should have any questions about any of this, please reach out to Portfolio Questions, and we will provide as much support as we can. So when we think about next steps, through the lens of a timeline, again, the virtual training was released on April 1 to all educators. Educators can access this training on the team website, and peer reviewers must access this virtual training through Portfolio so that their ability to certify opens up in the portal on May 1. Portfolio submission window closes on May 1. There is no submit button this year, and so therefore, again, teachers may ask questions about why it says in progress, but to assure them that at the due date and time all the collections will move on to the scoring. And therefore, after May 1, the certification opens, so the portal will become a portal for the certification, and the certification should be completed by May 15th. In-person peer reviewer convenings and virtual peer reviewer scoring will occur between May 18th, which is the first in-person convening, and June 21st. Expert reviewer virtual training is on June 10th, and more information will be provided to expert reviewers as that time approaches. So any peer reviewers serving as experts do not have to certify again. So they've already certified as a peer reviewer, they will not have to certify again as an expert. And all portfolios should be scored by June 21st. That is our goal. So as we approach these last few days before submission, please remember that the progress reports are available for you inside of Portfolium so that you can monitor the submission status. Also encourage you to reach out to teachers with reminders about submissions, and to also encourage teachers to upload submissions before the due date in case technical support is needed. And then after May 1, we appreciate any ongoing communication you can have with peer reviewers to remind them that certification will occur through Portfolium. And again, they had access to peer reviewer training through Portfolium as well. So if it should happen that May 1st occurs and they have not viewed that in Portfolium, that's available. And reminders about in-person scoring, convening dates, and scoring expectations will be emailed to peer reviewers with district leads copied, but any follow-up or ongoing support you can provide in addition to those emails would be greatly appreciated, especially because we all know that the end of the school year can be very busy and emails can sometimes be overlooked. So thank you for any support that you have that you can provide, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Portfolio Questions. We thank you for your time, and again, we look forward to the continued collaboration with all of you and appreciate all the support that you provide to teachers, and we look forward to continually hearing feedback as we move forward towards 2019-20. Have a great day. Thanks.